Gail of Gaia and Free Range need your support. The foundation of any channel engaged in disclosure is the support of the listening audience and the intel it receives. You will not find this kind of information on the lamestream media. We abhor censorship, and sponsors always have an agenda. Your donations, no matter how small, are especially needed and appreciated to keep this going. Welcome to Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas. Backed by popular demand is the intrepid Drake Bailey for another question and answer session. You may want to make some popcorn and buckle your seatbelt. This one will be another wild ride. Here is your host, Gail of Gaia, with her guest, Drake Bailey.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia and Free Range, and I have with me Drake Bailey. Hi, Drake. Our weekly get-together and questions and answers and so on. But before we start the questions, let's ask you if there are any new and exciting galactic updates or geopolitical updates.
Well, first thing you got to realize, and this applies to everybody out there in Gaga land, real simple. Politics is the largest liars club in the world. They will tell you anything to get elected. And if you don't buy that one, there is another one. I promise you a chicken in every pot. That's what somebody right around the time of the Great Depression. And if you ain't got a pot, we'll fix that too. Well, how about free college education? Oh my goodness. How about an income for everybody? Somebody's got to pluck the chicken. That's the only problem with all this. And somebody got plucked, and it was not the president. Somebody on a certain news channel, criminal news network, decided to open its big mouth on something it didn't validate or check out or nothing. Got intel from one source, and they said Trump was guilty. He fell into bed with oligarchs in Russia and all this other happy crap. He since apologized profusely for putting something on the air that was invalid. That he was wrong. He says he was wrong. I'm so sorry. Well, anyway.
Oh, they do that all the time. They just got caught this time.
No, they do. They try to do it a little more subtly. They call him a liar. Let's see here, illegal, inhumane, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Well, okay. There's only one little problem with all this, and that is that in terms of the political atmosphere here in the United States, the big problem is that I haven't seen the Democrats do squat other than go after Trump. Well, hey, you were not elected to play that game, not permanently, and yet here you go with this, and there's a whole bunch of them that are guilty of this. What the main thrust of it is that they don't like the idea of two things. Number one, and this is the absolute most important part about Trump, he is not a player in the game. He is not a politician, okay?
That's what I like about him.
Well, Jesse Ventura stipulated one thing. When you're looking at politics, realize one thing. You can't trust either party or anything anybody says. So the best thing in the world to do is to find somebody who is not a politician, who is an outsider, and somebody who really don't give it a good wazula as to whether or not that person that anybody likes him. Well, I'm going to be up front. In terms of Trump, there's a lot of things about him that, in my opinion, could be done one hell of a lot better, a lot smoother. He has been in high-level negotiations with people, dealing with extreme sums of money, and believe me, he don't act like the bull in the china shop that he is acting like it while he's in office. Why was he put in office? Everybody got tired of the politics. Politics, like I said, is the biggest, largest liars club in the world. Politics means I want to get elected. Don't care about what kind of promises I have to make to do so. And doesn't matter whether I keep them when I get done. I am going to do my thing, okay? They'll promise you the world, turn around and do their own thing. Yep. Several things involved in this. None of the free government stuff has worked. That goes back to Obama. He tried to give away phones and nobody would take them. I thought that was pretty cool.
Everybody was saying, I remember at that time, everybody said, what are they just trying to track us? Or are they going to have them blow up on us? Or what?
No, all you got to do is just apply. And if you're a person of color or downtrodden or in a terrible fix and you need a phone desperately, they'll supply you with one. There goes, now you understand about you don't got a pot, we'll fix that too. Okay, now how about down to the meat? Chicken. Okay, chicken is not the most popular thing in the world. A lot of people like it, not all the time. However, there's a big problem. The mystery burger that Burger King is putting out. Ooh, we don't know what's in it, but it tastes just like a burger, only it's all plant-based. Okay, I have had a variety of some of the very best on the planet in terms of vegetarian burgers, steaks, etc. I can tell. I don't got the best palate in the world. I don't have the finest taste buds, but I know the difference between a plant, a leaf of lettuce, and a friggin' burger or a piece of beef, okay? Mm-hmm. Beef sales have been going up, not down, up. The price is going up some too. Why? Well, the environmentalists like to play this game of you got to put a cork in your cow's butt so that
is so insane.
Hey, we don't want to be farting out none of that nasty gas. Okay.
That is cruelty.
AOC is being investigated heavy and hard and in very great and grave detail. Right now, she's got 3 or 4 violations, and they're looking for another dozen. Think about that very carefully. Number 2, Barr said at one point, and they had a neat little picture of him pointing his finger, I'm going to come over after every damn one of you. Guess what? It's about to hit the fan. We got a rotating oscillator that's huge, and we got chunks of doo-doo the size of Greyhound buses that are going to be.
Is this going to happen in September?
There's a lot of named people that I heard about that person, household word or household name kind of thing. And there's about a dozen of them that are just about to go to jail. Ooh. And this is fun. Everybody knows what a FISA court is. Well, guess what, judges? You guys are now liable. Ooh.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that means not only can they lose their seat, they can lose their law license, and they can be put to making burgers in a joint.
It's about time because, they've been pretty darn nefarious.
Well, all of them have, okay? And I noticed some changes. Well, I've noticed some changes. I keep my ear to the ground and watch things pretty as close as I can. I can't see everything, and sometimes I miss stuff completely, but I've noticed that several judges, several courts, several legal parameters are now being followed, changed, altered, whatever. And the problem, this is number 2. First one is he is an outsider. He ain't a politician. We can't control him. He's richer than God. I can't
bribe him either.
Yeah, everybody should have a spastic fit. Well, number 2, there has been an extraordinary, an extreme, and a prolific lack of law and order in this country. Now, by that, I mean that there are 3, not 2. Everybody will tell you about 2. There's 3 sets of law. Okay, 3, not 2, 3. And this starts being fun. You have generalized local law. Everybody knows that you don't walk up to the sheriff and spit in his eye. That usually will end you up in a pokey for a variety of different things, many as he can find on the books. Okay. That's one level of law. This is where you get a speeding ticket in a little podunk town that you never heard of in your whole life when you weren't speeding. Oops. Number two, you have two separate sets of laws. One, and you got to really simply look at it, and it's obvious. One, for the poor people. In other words, bend over, here comes the law book, and it's got corners, and they're going to catch on something that's going to hurt. Here it comes anyway. Okay.
Big time. It's so unfair, Drake.
Oh, no. It ain't unfair. Just wait. I ain't done yet. Wait till I get to number three. That's where the fun begins. Number two, you have a set of laws for the rich and famous and or those who have political power or pull or whatever they can muster to get themselves clear of things. The Kennedys killed a person and got away with it. A variety of people were hired to kill Kennedy. And in a movie called Shooter, one of the people involved in it said, they'd be buried out in the sand past Terra Lingua. And the very green FBI dude that's going with the plan says, "You got any proof?" He said, "Hell, I still got the shovel." Oops. When somebody thinks that they've got it figured out, now this is this guy, this expert. Whenever you think you got it figured out in terms of what's going on, you're wrong.
Step back.
Well, you got it. People have to bear in mind it's a very simple thing. In the middle of the game, when they change the rules so that you are at a complete disadvantage, they got you. They don't tell you they're changing the rules. They don't tell you that you're the object of the preposition, thou shalt be screwed. Okay. They forget to mention that part, but people get it all the time. Now, some of these people are now under the probability of long-term jail sentences. There are certain things that you can't do. And this is a legal parameter that has not been enforced since the 50s. Yeah. Eisenhower warned about the military-industrial complex. Well, there's not two, but three. Oh, and the third one is a real bitch. And she's going to bite you on the ass and see if you'll float in the toilet and all that. Military, industrial, financial complex. That's what you got to. There's three of them. Oh my God, the yield curve is inverted. The 2-year is at a higher rate of return than the 10-year. Oh my God, the world's coming to. Oh, guess what, people? You ever hear the expression "time is money"?
Many times.
Okay. What happens when you figure out that you can get a better return in a shorter period of time, come out smelling like a rose rather quickly? That's called the 2-year bond. That's why the 2-year is better than the 10-year. The 10-year, even if it was 2%, would not match the instant gratification in terms of a return that the 2-year offers. Even at 1.5%, if the 10-year was 2.5%, 3%, wouldn't matter. Why doesn't it matter? Time. Nobody feels that the present situation in terms of financial capability, let alone government interventions, is going to last. They know better. They have found out the hard way. I have pointed out a few things on the show that I do on Saturday. However, I've also pointed a few of them out here on this show. One of those is that people go, oh, you got to have a certain inflation rate. You got to have a certain growth rate. Horse hockey. If you got a stock that produces a nice dividend regularly, all the time, no problem, and the company's been around for a long time and is in a position to stay around for a hell of a lot longer, then you've got a good stock. Real simple. Now the other fun part of it. Never play any kind of gambling game with borrowed money. Why? Well, remember that 600-point drop in the Dow? That was to weed out all the poor bastards that they got. Oh, we got them. They borrowed money, invested in stocks, knowing that it should go up. By all indications, oops, it went in the toilet. Clunk. That weeds out because you don't have the ownership of the stock, puts and calls and things of this nature. You don't have ownership of the stock. And here's the other part. That borrowed money, oh man, that's accruing interest. And you got to pay it back. Think that's bad? Look at a student loan. Look at several loans in general. I'm going to hit you on the head with a simple fact of it. Most loans, private loans, I'm not talking about, it doesn't matter what for. Most private loans, when you are in abeyance, meaning that you have reduced the payment because of financial hardship or whatever reason, the interest rate goes down accordingly. Not on student loans.
I don't.
They continue even with a private company. Okay, so basically what they're telling you is, and I'll do this just once, they're giving you the flagpole salute. Guess what, dude? You're effed. Whether you not, okay, now, if you borrow the money, there's some things that go into this that people are not paying attention to. When a college or higher learning institute promises you employability at high rates of pay in whatever your major or chosen field is, that makes them liable if it don't happen. Nobody has sued the colleges. Why not? How is it that each and every college has between 1 and 5 years operating expenses in the bank earning interest? Well, where'd that money come from? You got a small amount that comes from donors. Everybody knows about that. But largely, state legislature. This is public money. And they love that big old fat interest. Think about having trouble carrying the interest payment to the bank. Where you have trouble picking it up to put it in the car to take it to the bank. That's basically what they do, and they have been doing every, dig this, 6 months. It's not a yearly thing, 6 months. The ideology that an education is given in higher learning institutes is bogus. Totally, completely bogus. Why do I say that? I was close to getting an applied science of electrical engineering degree, and I found it. And then the VA decided, well, you took too long. You're done. Well, after I raised hell with them, they changed that policy. If you're so far into you got a program that is this long, and you're this far into it, they continue until you're completed. They changed that. Kudos to the VA. However, here's the deal. You have 3 kinds of colleges. Okay, now I just gave you the 3 parts of the picture. I'm going to give you 3 more. 3 kinds of colleges. Tech degrees, certification degrees, things of this nature, where you get a technician's license. In other words, that means you're not going to burn the place down, hooking the wires up your way. Number 2, community colleges. Okay, community colleges are a public college totally financed by the state, mostly. Now, they get some private, but not much. And number 3, you have the higher, oh boy, you're talking nosebleed high institutions. Vanderbilt. Oh, anyway, hey, he didn't get his cum laude from Vanderbilt. Now, that means it don't mean nothing. Horse hockey. Here's the deal. If you want to put a bunch of people to work, and we need engineers, run through a tech degree. Two reasons for this. Number 1, it is a thing where you can go full-time in the summer, part-time in the winter. It takes about 2 to 3 years to get that technical certification or technical degree. My technical degree would have been in applied science of electrical engineering, meaning that I could go in and re-engineer something that was screwing up, failing, wasn't acting right, or whatever. That's what the degree, that my degree would have meant, okay? Now, the fun part is this. They forget to tell you 2 things, and 2 things are this. There is no, and I mean absolutely none, in the sciences that you cannot go out somewhere and make money with. They don't exist. You get some kind of applied knowledge, whether it doesn't matter what it is, but you get an associate's degree. That's a 2-year degree, and it qualifies you to do the same things that your high-priced electrical engineers do. As an example, you're paying maybe half or less than what you'd pay that engineer to fix the same problem. That sounds like a pretty good deal. Okay, let's look at the one other area where they lie to you out their teeth. That's called liberal arts. Unless you get into liberal arts on an application basis, such as graphic design or graphic artistry or website parameters and things of this nature, unless you get into that liberal arts degree on that basis, you're screwed. You're throwing money out the window. Okay, now here's the third part of it. Under technical degrees, they have come up with what's called life experience. In other words, the things that you've done, such as managing, building houses or whatever, applies to the degree that you're looking to get. Some people, and I went to school with some of them, actually come out with a bachelor's degree from a technical college offering only an applied science degree. Why? Well, they had the experience, life experience, that bumped them over the edge. They do have to test into some of these areas, but you're talking the difference between 20 grand, 25 grand. Oh, if you ain't making 30 grand, we don't want to even talk to you. 90% of your dating websites and all these other happy crooks out there apply that sort of thing. What's 30 grand a year? That's 600 a week. That's $15 an hour. That's easy to attain. Well, guess what? You come out of a technical school, and this one guy I know, and I don't know if he's still at the same company, but an applied science of electrical engineering. He was top of the class. He was one of the best I'd ever seen. He had some real serious problems in troubleshooting. I taught him how to troubleshoot. Why? Because I was a master troubleshooter. I could tell what the hell was wrong, and I'd snatch up the component and bring it back to the instructor. And I'd say, "Hey, man, this thing's broke." Well, we don't got it more. I'm going to have to partner with somebody. Okay. They were doing labs. This is where you're doing live stuff. Ladder program for a programmable controller for the computers and robots that do certain jobs. They taught us all of that. So what makes the difference is very simple. I ended up teaching some of the classes simply because I understood what they were talking about to the point of actual application. Now, here's the differential. You can get all the textbook you want, don't matter the subject, get all the textbook you want, and it don't mean squat if you do not have experiential knowledge of the subject. How do you talk to somebody? How do you convince them this is right and that's wrong? How do you reinitiate somebody's conscience? Well, they should have been listening all, and they ain't. Why not? Well, it's the first thing you go in education. So there's that. Now, all I've done is touched on just a very beginning, a very, start level of a whole bunch of subjects. Let's hit the big one upstairs. ET is getting prepared to make a combination of things happen that are going to be totally surprising to just about all of the people that have, I don't believe in that crap. Well, okay. I want you to come here. I want you to meet Spidey. He's up in the corner over here, stuck to the ceiling. He converses very well in English, and you might want to talk to him. What do you mean? He ain't from here, I can tell you that. There are races of insectoids and a bunch of others out there. I asked Lucor, because you asked before we started recording the show, what race of ET he was from. I would love to answer that. There's only one small problem. About 30 to 50%, give or take, of ET languages are not translatable. Not into English, Russian, Chinese, none of it. Lucor, bless his heart, he gave me the name of his race, and I said, "You're kidding." He said, "No, go ahead and try to say it." I got about a third of the way through it. He busted up laughing. He said, "Nope, you ain't even close." That figures. I said, "What do you mean?" "Well, you're not my race." Okay, his race comes from about 100 light years the other side of Alpha Centauri. That's where his race comes from, and it's a planetary system, not too dissimilar from ours. There's several planets, and they occupy all of them. Okay, one of the things that we got going that is a problem. Number one, financial stability, and I'm not talking about growth, expansion, and all this other happy crap. I'm talking about just simply having things on an even level playing field. This is why everybody hates Trump so much. Two things: you cannot be innovative. You cannot come up with imaginary law. And Trump is looking at returning us to the origins of our English law, excluding, this is really important, he is excluding religiosity of any kind. No religion involved. Oh, you got to have the ecclesiastic law. Really? Not really. What you got to have is the simplicity of knowing that you can trust people in whatever dealings you have with them. Oh, the big boy's not going to crack my head. That's cool. How's it going, man? Oh, I'm not sure. Who are you? I'm just a soul passing in the darkness of the night saying, hey, cool. Okay. Several things happen. You plant seeds when you do that of ideologies in a person's head. You appease their problem of trust, not just within themselves. I'm not sure I don't trust myself to rip your head off. Well, you might want to try trusting yourself not to do that, because I don't want any of that to happen to me. That would be extraordinarily painful. It'd give me a bodacious headache. Don't think I could put up with it. Okay, well, these ideologies, as an example, now this is called reality, and proactive reality means that instead of saying that a person who tries to run over you with their car because they're pissed about a medical bill or something, come raging out of a hospital, they accused me of having open heart surgery. I went in and pulled my laundry up. I said, "You see a scar? And you guys are accusing me of this? How'd you like to go to jail?" Well, the administrator of the hospital didn't like that very much. Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Bat. Yeah, I'll bet you are. How about we go to federal court and you can show cause? Ooh, they didn't want to do all that. Anyway, so what's happening is that ET is becoming much more intrinsically involved on the surface. They're using extremely advanced technologies to try to appease the human nature of contest. Oh, that's an arm wrestler. My bank account's this fat, and yours is only about like. I guess who's in charge of that? Well, are you connected to anybody that can really do something? Well, my situation is very simple. I don't play games with anybody. no matter who it is. Others do. And as they are found out, and people can read intuitively, psychically, spiritually, the reality the other person is dealing with. Generally, you'll find that people that stipulate they're experts are anything but. 99 times out of 100, you'll find that those people that, I'm all that, yeah, you know, vote for me. Chicken in every pot, and if you ain't got a pot, we'll fix that too. Well, who do you believe? What you have to do is you also have to, your homework, not mine, look into what is talked about and the suppositions made and the presentation of, whether it's yay, nay, go, or stay. Truth and consequences, well, the criminal news network really stepped in it. And the boy that did it is apologizing. I'm so sorry. Well, those kind of things are going to slowly change everything. The essence of this is that ET is helping positive ideas, negative ideas, and those in between who feel nothing, such as your mass shooters. Okay, somebody knew. I did this on the last show. Somebody knew. Everybody, some people follow this dude. Oh, hey man, I finally got my 100-round magazine, my body armor, and my M16, and I'm going to war. Okay, well, guess what, asshole? 3 people turned you in. The only problem is they didn't have enough information. That was why they weren't able to catch that turkey beforehand. But lately in the news, and this is on Yahoo in the general news, it's stipulating that they're busting people, arresting people, stopping people from doing the same thing. They have the armament to do so and the inclination to make sure that it happens, except that they're dealing with a guy from the ATF, and I got handcuffs just for you. They're busting them, and I mean busting a bunch of them. They're beginning to look online. My suggestion was that anybody that gives probable cause to be flagged, in other words, automatic watch. Guy gets online, the light goes on, little red light, right? Oh, gotta watch it. Let's listen to what he's saying. You can tag, trap, eavesdrop, spy on, however you want to look at it all. Anybody, no matter who you are. Well, this is why 8-channel, Gab, white supremacy page, Gestapo page, all these nasty, pages should be left up. One simple reason. You can catch the lone wolf, so to speak, not working directly with it. He's not taking a bunch of people with him or working with a big group, but he says, let's see here now, on the 4th of December, on December 7th, 1941, we went to war. Well, what I'm saying is these people do the same shit. They might post a manifesto or say they're going to go. If somebody has the intestinal fortitude and the brains, they can write down their license plate number, color of the car, what kind it is. Let the FBI know. They're getting really interested, because if they don't, this includes local law enforcement, sheriffs, county sheriffs, state sheriffs, and the agencies, CIA, FBI, NSA, FEMA, all of these people that go, so what? They become liable.
Yeah, they haven't been doing their job, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, it's very simple. We need to start prosecuting these people for refusal to do their job when it probably would save a whole bunch of lives. Well, it's a little red. They got a thing called the red flag bill. And I would have thought, after all the fun and games with the Russian conspiracy theory, that somebody would have learned something about secret courts. And apparently they didn't learn squat. You got people like Lindsey Graham pushing red flag bill. Well, the problem with the red flag bill is that it doesn't allow for adjudication. It doesn't allow a person the due process of facing their accusers. It doesn't allow anything other than the judge saying, yeah, he's probably dangerous, and issues an order, court order, along with a warrant to go jump in the middle of your whatevers in the middle of the night, take all your guns, all your weapons. Really? I know a bunch of people you're going to start a pretty awesome, nasty gunfight with if you try to do that stuff. You don't need to do it. The main thing is somebody knew, whether it's a friend, an associate, another nutcase on the same kind of thing. Yeah, all Jews must die. Okay, I agree with that. Well, guess what, man? I'm going to a synagogue and shoot a whole bunch of them. Really? When are you going to do that? About 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Okay, man. Later. Turn right around, man, and you're on the phone. 911. Hello. Guess what? So-and-so with this color car, this is the license plate, is heading to such and such, and he's got nasty, nasty weapons. He's going to kill everybody. He said he's going to shoot up the synagogue. Well, bingo. Nobody who hasn't done anything directly, okay? Now, there are people who have done a lot of things directly. Nobody who has not done anything directly as an enemy to this country deserves that sort of happy horse manure. The perp or the dink, the insanity case, nut case, whatever you're going to call it, that wants to do these things needs to be stopped. They need to knock his whatever's in the mud and step on him and say, no, 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 come with us, boy. You're in a heap of trouble. That will help, okay? They're busting people all over the country right now,
Yeah.
posting things of that nature. If somebody is really interested, I got this thing about mass shootings. I got to check all this out. People that visit different places of that nature, red flag that dink. And keep an eye on it when it goes online to post its manifesto. Send in the SWAT team and extract it from its habitat and put it in the one that's got the bars on the window. It's simple. It's not difficult. So these are the things I admonish people to do. Now, ET's in the process of trying to help us come back from the lawless, crooked horse hockey. 3 different sets of law. My Lord have mercy. The ideology of Trump is 2 things. He's the bull in the china shop and was elected to be such. He's supposed to tear things up, knock you on your butt, wake up, I'm a fly, anybody home? Well, that sort of thing. So he's also not a politician. He's trying to return us to law and order. Now, the reason for law, especially order of that sort, it is a duty of an individual not to overstep the bounds of good sense society. That means you don't run around naked and a few other little minor things that can cause some problems, okay? Especially with guns or whatever. The second part is law is our reminder of what our morality is supposed to be. Just that simple.
Well, okay, the question that comes to my mind is, what about how color of law has been used against we the people in so many ways? Is this going to go back to some sort of common law? Or?
It's going to be a combination of statute and common law that makes sense, that is proactive. Most people don't understand what proactive is. This is where your reason overtakes your emotion. You disconnect the emotion and you apply the thing according to what should be done. And by that I mean, if there is no crime, if there is no injured party,
there we go.
There's no violation. You cannot assess a fine, whether any judge or whomever likes that or not. Hey, Go look it up, Judge. It's in our constitutional law. I am to be secure in my person and papers. I have the free right to assembly. Ooh, but you'll find a lot of these local podunks, municipalities usually. Any more than 3 people, it's a gang, and we can jump on you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, that sort of happy horse hockey is what is going to be addressed. Now, I heard that ET is developing a slingshot for road apples, and they intend to use same for ammunition against people's foreheads that don't get it. You're full of shit, you get a road apple in the forehead. A road apple is what horses plop out in these big steamy piles. So,
what about the highway pirates? I mean,
what highway pirates? Such as, you talking about the police?
Yeah. Well,
Okay, there are certain limitations on things. First, you're not required to have a driver's license, plates, registration, or any of that happy crap. It's in the Articles of Confederation, which were never rescinded, never revoked, never repealed. That means they're still in place. They were also, that particular thing was included in the original Bill of Rights, which has never been rescinded or repealed or anything. Therefore, it's still applicable right now. Owning a gun. Give you an example. Second Amendment. Well-regulated militia. Bullshit. The people's right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So all of the infringement by states over that is bogus. It does not pass the constitutional smell test. Now, what we need is, and you got a whole bunch of black people all up in arms, and they did it to me again today. Well, okay, what did they do exactly? If, and this is the if anybody's rights have been played with, messed with, or used in reverse on them, that means that the entity, person, or whatever that did that has to answer to federal court to show cause why they think they're what they believe or think or feel or their actions can be above the Constitution, the law of the land. It can't. And that's not just with the federal government. You have certain rights. If somebody violates your rights, you need to make a formal complaint to the Civil Rights Division and take and send one to your local federal judge. Hold on a minute, I got an incoming call. Hello. Static, I love it. Interruptions, yes. That's fun. Well, so anyway, the basis of this is very simple. I don't want to hear somebody bitching about somebody did this, that, or the other thing to me or to somebody else. I don't want to hear it. Why not? Because it is the obligation, duty, and responsibility of the individual that was the subject of this or subjected to some kind of nasty to formulate their own complaint.
They don't listen, though. I mean,
hold on a minute. If they don't listen, then they are liable. Ooh, you lose federal judgeships.
You have to have a driver's license. You can't drive without a
bullshit. No. Go ahead and accept the ticket, okay? But you might want to explain to the law enforcement officer that very simply, if he writes a ticket for no driver's license, you and he are going, or she is, the case may be, are going to be attached at the hip in federal court for about 3.5 years. They will lose their ability to be a law enforcement officer and be liable for damages.
That can actually really happen?
Yeah. I know of several police departments that have been closed down because they decided to play games with the wrong person. Who was the wrong person? They went the whole 9 yards, however far it took, and said, Judge, I need a ruling on this. What do you mean? Well, they did such and such, and the law says this, And the Constitution says that, and here's the situation. They think because I don't have a lot of money, or I'm not a
Well, yeah, it costs money to even
I'm not white, or whatever, okay, that they can do anything they feel like they want to do. The law stipulates otherwise. I need some real-time legal application where these people are involved. Specifically, here's your list. And you hand them a piece of paper that lists everybody involved. The person that gave the order to do so, if there was something of that nature, or it might just be the officer themselves who doesn't understand or doesn't care about the law. They accuse Trump of being a lying, illegal, nasty mother. Well,
this goes right to the judges and to the prosecuting attorneys as
exactly.
well. They're involved too.
So, what's going to be found? There's two possibilities. And if somebody really listens, and I'm questionable about that, listens to what the application is and does it, that's a big difference. Now, think about how many people you know that have been screwed around with at varying times by whomever, okay? Be sure and get the guy's badge number and name and precinct if they're willing. And what's that for? Well, I'm going to file a lawsuit. Do what? Oh, no, we're going to put you in jail. That's okay. Fold your tablet up, put it in your pocket. No problem. Go to jail. They have to prefer some sort of a charge against you, irrespective. The free right to travel may not be infringed upon, period. It's like the Second Amendment. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, period. That means that all gun laws are bogus. Think about that very carefully. If somebody doesn't like what I've got to say, check out a thing called the Dick Act. DICKACT. Check it out. It stipulates quite plainly, in very simple language that anybody can understand, that any individual, as long as they're not some kind of a dingleberry crook, can, as long as they can afford it, own, personal possession, own any weapon that the military has, to include machine guns, battle tanks, artillery, any of it. Legal, you have the legal right to own it. The Dick Act cannot be repealed. Ooh, it cannot be amended. It is what it states, that each individual has the right to keep and bear arms. Whether anybody likes it or not, well, how many people have actually used that? Not many. How many people have actually taken people to task over their gun laws when they're unconstitutional? Well, you might, depending on the neighborhood you're in, you might need a gun. Or depending on where you're at, or the circumstances you find yourself in. You might need a gun. You might need a gun if society goes in the toilet, if everything comes unglued, falls apart, and falls down around you. You might need a gun to go hunting so you can eat, let alone fend off the nasties that think you might have something and they want to come breaking in your house. How many applications are there? Well, the ideology behind the people being able to keep and bear arms is very simple. That is that they, at any time, they find an oppressive nature in every way you can think of a government. They can throw it off, and that we can be equally armed against those people who would try to enforce that on us.
Seems to be we're at that point.
Very close. So the situations that people find themselves in are not something that is easy to deal with. Most of them are complex. Most of them have the problem of involving a complex person. And you ain't got to be educated, you ain't got to be wealthy or anything else to be a complex person. I have met some of the most uneducated, and I'm talking about the inability to speak plain English or complete a sentence kind of thing. When I say uneducated, I mean that literally. But you take them out in the woods and there they are, the masters. They can take a friggin' pocket knife and build you a mansion. You know, hey, you want a toilet that flushes? Sure, you carve one out for you. It's no big deal to that type of person. You have a thing called ingenuity. And ingenuity is simple. You take unassociated items to address something for the end result you desire. And hillbilly ingenuity reigns, and I mean reigns. I know how to kill a deer, know how to skin it. I know what parts are good to eat. Woodchucks are good. Hey, don't be funny. When you get hungry, and I've seen people hungry, you'll eat a dog. I guarantee you will. Much as it don't sound right, when you get hungry, there's only one thing that works: food. If you're thirsty, only one thing that works: water. Mm-hmm. If you need it, it's much better to have a gun and not need it than need one and not have it.
Yeah, I would.
When seconds count, the police are minutes away. How much of this is why people are arming themselves? Not because law enforcement is so nasty, because most of them ain't. It's not because they see this as a prelude to a revolution, a new revolution, because it ain't. What they see is this: when the dope addict's breaking in the door, can the police get there in time to keep the thingamabob at your door from doing nasty stuff to you and your kids or grandma or what? Well, let's get real. What you do is you reach in your pocket, you pull this out and go, sorry about your shit. Bang. And that ends the problem. Sometimes you got to shoot it more than once. I'll carry that on. I sleep with that thing. Now, you talk about lumpy. It ain't no pleasure. Well, I'm on the NSA kill list. Ooh, they love me. Why have they not done anything? That position is getting less and less and less. Pretty soon it'll disappear. It'll fall off the ledger. Why? Because I'm not doing anything funky. What I'm doing
I can't see why you would be on that list. That's crazy.
No, I did some things that I did an interview with David Wilcock and expressed a bunch of things. Okay, part of that dealt with the intervention of ET, world government. Ooh, new world order. No, it'll be new, and it will be a world order, but it will be one of willingness. Now, the reason for that is simple. We have a couple of hundred countries or so, give or take. Each one of them has certain specific needs that are not being seen to and can't be addressed. Oh, really? I think the world, oh, you need soybeans? United States ain't selling nothing to China. How about we send you a nice big fat container ship full of food? It's soybeans. I mean, it ain't the greatest thing in the world, but it'll keep you from starving to death. Bingo. What's funny, what I find that is really ridiculous are places on this planet, different countries, different locations, who refuse a hospital ship. Now, even when they're in dire need, refuse the material to rebuild after a huge storm, such as the one we got that's supposed to be headed for Florida right now. It missed Puerto Rico. That was one of the stipulations that was made by people I know who control storms, that it missed Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico got the whatever knocked out of it by the last one. They don't need to get hit twice. So what do we have?
So what kind of people we got creating these storms in the first place? Why are they doing that? That should be stopped in and of itself.
Well, first you got to get to them. You have to find out which ones they are. You have to then locate the weather machines, as they're called. Anybody hasn't heard of weather wars, go look it up. It's on the internet. Weather wars is simple. A lot of the nasty weather that has been happening lately is because of weather machines that are cranked in the wrong direction for the wrong purpose. The idea is simple, and it's real simple. If you want to control a large group of people, hundreds of millions of people, it's very simple. If you control their food, they do what you tell them. Because eventually they get hungry. Why do you think these so-called survivalist experts that do some kind of nasty thing and go and hide in the woods, why do you think they come out? They don't come out because of physical discomfort. They come out because they're hungry. No other reason. You can have all the water you want to drink, but that does not take care of the need for sustenance, better known as food. I recommend a month, 2 months, 6 months, whatever you can afford to do. You can buy a big old bag, 40-pound bag. It's huge, of noodles. And they last just about forever. Why? They're dry. Dried beans, same thing. You might not like it, but what you do is you get you some cans of whatever you happen to like. Be that fish, be that some kind of a beef product, or maybe chili, or maybe sauce. You're good to go. You got food for 2 years. So what are the alternatives? The alternatives are simple. You want to live or do you want to die? That's pretty straight up. In a certain movie about a certain outlaw, Josie Wales, he stipulated it very simply. Don't quit. Don't give up. Keep fighting. Why? Because if you give up, you neither live nor win. It's not difficult to understand. I don't like the idea of being nasty and having to shoot somebody. But if they're coming after me and my wife, sorry about your stuff, I'm going to splatter you all over the porch. Well, everybody should have a certain level of limitation. Some people say, oh, I would just get down on my knees and pray. Yeah. Hey, I'm serious. I run across these people all the time. We're nonviolent. Okay. How does that work when somebody starts breaking your fingers to give you and make you talk? What do you mean? Got a safe? Yeah. What's the combination? I don't know. Crunch. How many times can you stand at? You got 10 of these, and then you got toes and other places that are. I mean, there's ways to get somebody to talk. I used to do it in Vietnam without doing a thing to somebody. But they sure believed I would not only would do it, but I'd enjoy it too. One guy was a senior level North Vietnamese Army commander. We caught him. He wasn't all that difficult to get a hold of. He started blubbering and crying. Get this guy away from me. I was just going to set his crotch on fire, no big deal. And he thought I'd really do that. Let's put it this way, to be straight up, I only raised one blister in a very tender spot, one time on one individual. And it didn't speak English until I did that. And then all of a sudden it says, oh my God. And I looked at him with a real maniacal look. I said, oh, this is going to be fun hearing you scream, help. It works. What I'm saying is that sometimes there's no choice in the result of the activities involved. I use Iran, okay? If it were me and I was the military, I'd have military patrols up and down the Straits of Hormuz. Anytime Iran sent any boat out that was targeting or heading in the direction of a tanker, that's one, or outside the national limit in international waters, I'd start sinking them. And of course, Iran's going to go ballistic. Oh, I'm going to sink everything that comes by. And you go, really? Is that a promise? And Mr. Ayatollah is going to go, yeah. And what you do at that point is very simple. We got a Moab, mother of all bombs. Drop one of those in one on part of their port and see how efficiently they can handle reconstruction under fire. Sink every little boat that comes out and decides to play. There are a whole bunch of, well, that's an act of war. Well, you want us to carpet bomb your podunk country? I don't like the idea of killing all them people, but we will. Is that what you want? Right now, Iran is doing terrible. Now, by terrible, I do mean that literally. They're food, water, medicine. Those three are just about as scarce as free beer. You want to get into it a little bit further? How about China? Well, trade war. That phone call that Trump got was real. And by the people he says called. Now, the finance minister of China does not make a call like that without reason. I'll tell you right now, Trump's going to have to go over there very probably, but consider the problem basically solved. We're going to have a fair trade deal. Very simple. NAFTA, the replacement for it. I forget what they call it, but you got Mexico signed right on. Hey, Canada, let's go. Okay. Now, we need to have the United States representatives, better known as the House of Representatives, okay it. Sign off on it. It's a much better deal in every way possible. The other part, back to the international trade situation. International trade is going to change drastically in the very near future. The global currency reset is of a type that instead of just having a stated, quoted value, absolute value of a currency, for as an example, you're going to have what's called a basket. This combines currency, natural resources, the capability of the people to perform work, and the capability to interact with other countries, as an example. And that doesn't cover it all. It's just an example. You're going to have gold, silver, certain precious or rare earth minerals are going to be involved.
Is that going to happen anytime soon? Or?
It's in process now. We have a couple of people that we need to get agreements with. One of those is North Korea. Ooh, how about that? How about North Korea becoming the gem and jewel that it always should have been right now? And I'm talking within weeks, not months, weeks. They could be a gem and a jewel. Be all the communists, whatever they want to be, but still be extraordinarily viable for the simple fact that they have whole mountains, not just a little vein running through someplace. I'm talking about a whole mountain of precious, rare earth materials. And the whole mountains. Well, good Lord, dude, how come you ain't got somebody over there chipping chunks off and selling it? Well, there are things that need to be brought up and worked on. We have a large variety of secrecy that shouldn't be there. Secret space program comes to mind. The secret spy courts and things of that nature. There's a lot of things that go into this, and ET don't like that either. The thing with ET is that they are fully capable of telepathy. Now, when you're fully capable of telepathy, you know the intent and purpose of an individual. Before you get close enough to them for anything to happen or anybody to do anything, you know what they're up to.
They can't lie, right? They can't lie.
Yeah. I want you to put this in perspective. Everybody has joked about this for years. I'm going to get 5 gallons of concentrated truth serum and put it in a Washington, D.C. water supply. Ooh, well, that's what now you begin to get the picture, okay? You can tell the people who shouldn't be in an office. Straight up, everybody, not just one person, everybody. Dude, we know what you're up to. I doubt that. Oh, really? Now, some of these people, this is the fun part of it, and I don't know if it's because of ET's sense of humor, or how that works exactly. They're going to prevent these people that are professional politicians from having those capabilities. They're not going to know what hit them until it's too friggin' late. That part is also in process as we speak. So the amount of things, quality of results, what the end game is going to be is totally awesome for several reasons. I'm going to hit one of them right now. Think about all the countries on this planet getting along.
What a concept, huh?
Okay. Nice. Think about nukes and nuclear materials being done away with.
Awesome.
Think about having a World Council meeting. I've been upstairs to council meetings of, I don't know, there's probably 5,000 planets or something. And it looks something like similar to the Klingon Grand Auditorium. It's sort of a big cylinder vertically, and it's got these little balconies all over the place. That's primarily what you're going to be looking at. Okay, these people will address things, express things. Things that are real will be addressed. Things that are not will be dismissed. This will be done openly. What that means is that, we gotta take care of human rights. Okay, define human rights. You ask a politician that, and they'll lose their friggin' mind. Oh, I can't talk to you right now about that. I got to go. I got a meeting, or whatever the excuse might be. Humanitarian rights means that people should not be forced because of their location or condition or position to suffer. Do no harm. Everybody's heard that. Okay, well, let's make this real. In terms of doing no harm, I am looking at being able to address the basic needs, not wants, needs of hundreds of thousands of people in a very short period of time. We're going to need replicators. Who's going to build them? We're going to have a replicator replicating replicators? Probably. Right at first. You're going to start that way. Who would get them first? Who would get a replicator first? The people that don't have no food. Okay, let's take that to the next step. How about an association group or some kind of unofficial bean line? Come on now. How about a soup kitchen? What would happen if all of a sudden you got all the beef you need to put in the stew? What would happen to these people if all of a sudden they needed medication and you say, you got one? Yeah, give me. And you make 50 of them for them. We can't afford that medication. That stuff's $12 a pill. I got these.
More than that, yeah.
Yeah, I got these for starters. Well, okay, stick in a replicator, push enter. It does a whoopity-doo. I don't know exactly how it works. I heard it flickers when you program something in. And what I thought was neat was all of a sudden you say, it'll ask you, how many of this item do you want? 50. Enter. Bzz.
Yes. Do ETs take medication?
Of certain types, under certain conditions, yes. However, you got to remember some things. They're very advanced in comparison to humanity.
Yeah.
Most of them are not in 3D. We are presently in what's called the experimental laboratory of 3D. We're all test tube babies, and what they do is they grab hold of you and squeeze. Let's see what pops out.
Squeeze it like grapes.
Yeah, well, my opinion of that is they can kiss my grits and just say, no way in hell that we should have to put up with that, okay? Nobody. The people less able to address problems are the ones that are squeezed the hardest.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? Yeah, they pay the highest everything too.
Yeah. Think in terms of this. Level playing field for the very first time all the way around. You need a jug of water. You hit the W on the replicator and you get Wawa out of it. You want a T-bone steak? Well, to start with, you cannot take a starving person and introduce them to full-fledged food. It has to be slowly advanced. A little bit of
Yeah,
this.
if you overfeed a malnourished person too quickly, you can kill them.
Exactly. So this is going to start slowly. However, all of these malnourished people will be nourished. This is the goal of humanitarianism in general. Nobody will be excommunicated from society because they're too poor to afford clothes or a place to live, food to eat, etc. So you have, and this is lovely. Everybody goes nuts over the addictions. ET has a pill and a shot, two different ones. They attest the pill takes care of a whole bunch of your physical problems with addiction. The shot reconditions you. All of a sudden, you don't have that addiction anymore. Things of this nature. You have to be able and prepared to accept the impossible. One of the Star Trek episodes, Dr. McCoy was walking down the hall of a hospital, and this lady was going, "Oh," and he said, "What's the matter?" "My kidneys are giving up." "Really?" "Okay, can I take a reading of you?" He gets out this medical reader and zzz, and he looks at her and he says, "Oh, okay. Oh, here, take this." He gives her a pill. She takes the pill. She said, "Are you a doctor?" And so, of course, I'm a doctor. I wouldn't give you a pill if I wasn't. You know how McCoy is. He's kind of just different. The very next day, let's see, was it the next day or later that afternoon? I forget which. Anyway, in a very short period of time, here's this lady. And the doctors are all, "How did you do this? What happened to you? Who did this to you?" She looks at McCoy and just grins. "I'm not sure. One of the doctors gave me a pill, and I took the pill, and I'm just fine." Well, some of the ideas of using supplements can be, and this is something everybody needs to pay attention to, can be compounded. The resultant that you're trying to get, whether it's kidneys, heart, lungs, whatever it may be, can be set up on a Richter scale result from one little bitty pill. Hopefully it ain't saccharin. I don't like the taste of saccharin, but you get the picture. It's real simple. One little pill, one little shot. If somebody is terminal, and I'm talking, cancers or whatever, doesn't matter the
People have
disease.
totally reversed that when they've been told that too.
Well, the severity, sometimes the severity is greater than what the medicine can handle within a period of time it needs to work. And some of the medications given by our 20th century medicine is of a type that interferes with treatments. So they have a thing called biosphere. Now, biosphere, you meet with the the head programmer, right? And the head programmer talks to you about what you want and what you'd like to see, how you'd like to be, and what you want to accomplish. And lo and behold,
That was here.
they put you in the biosphere. Now, you have to go upstairs to do this. The biosphere literally redoes you back to where you should be, totally healthy, etc. To include longevity, your lifestyle can change totally, etc. But what you normally would experience would be somewhere in the neighborhood of, say, 6 weeks of treatment. That's what you'd experience, what you feel like you're getting. Yeah. In reality, what ET does, they play games with time. They shrink the time back to maybe a day and a half, 2 days, 3 days.
That's nice. That's real nice.
So you're gone for the holiday weekend. Everybody says, "Did you have a nice trip?" I said, "Oh, it was lovely. You would not believe what happened to me. And I can't tell you, I made me promise not to tell you, but oh, do I feel lovely. You know, bingo. You go from being 70, 80, 90, or whatever incapacitating age you might be, back to your original lifespan and find out that you're nothing more than a freaking teenager. And guess what? You got all the energy, imagination, curiosity, drive, and craziness that you had when you were a teenager, but you still know what you know now. So you can, I don't think I ought to stand on my head. Doing double back flips with a pickup truck is not a good idea. You won't find too many of the, here you go, hold my beer and watch this. Watch this, hell, let me out of the truck. Okay. These sorts of things, you have to understand that humans have a basically destructive nature. It wasn't originally that way.
I was going to say, hasn't that kind of developed over time? That wasn't really the way we were initially.
Exactly. And you have certain bad ETs, pirates, or whatever you want to call them, that inserted this kind of thing into your head so that you believe it. Well, you no longer have to put up with that. Even right now, a person that decides how things are going to be your day, that you're not going to lose the keys anymore, that the battery is not going to be dead on the car. Whatever you decide, absolutely decide, happens. In other words, you don't lose your keys anymore. Whew. You go out dead of winter and you don't need to be riding the bus to work. Stick the key in there now, turn it over, vroom, hey. And it goes on and on and on. The limitation, okay, is do no harm. Don't screw with anybody unnecessarily. And so.
Sorry, I had some interruptions here. Anyway.
Yeah, well, we started at 7, and it's 8:19, and I would tell you to pick out a couple of questions that you think are really.
Yeah, get to some questions.
I thought I was supposed to be answering questions. You got me going.
That's okay. I'm sure it's very interesting anyway.
Yeah.
See, I got a lot of questions here. I don't know where to start.
Okay.
I'll just start with the first one just right off the top. Is Queen Elizabeth dead or alive?
Both. Well,
explain.
It's very simple. The real one's dead and the clone is running around. Okay. Oh. The only problem is that the clone adopted some of the physical parameters of the dead one, meaning it ain't going to last too long. She's abdicating her throne and a bunch of other things, just so you'll know.
Okay. What are there September false flags on the horizon?
Yeah, but most of them are fear porn. In other words, the world's not coming to an end after we finish the show.
Okay. This one probably relates to the Dragon's Gate and some of the things that have been said. Are dragons going to eat people?
No, dragons don't eat people, they eat rocks. How do I know? I'm a dragon. I'm enjoying this. Is fun.
Will we have the coldest winter ever?
Ever do woo?
Will we have the coldest winter ever?
No. You'll have a lot more snow than normal, but not necessarily severely cold. To go along with that, that may mitigate itself before it gets here. So we may have and I quote this loosely, regular winter. That means you're going to be down, you're going to get into the 20s and stay there for, say, a week. That's a good thing. You get a little less than the 20s, and it starts getting nasty. There are severe and serious problems that come about from that. But you're liable to experience several days. It could be one day, then wait a week or two, and then you get two to three more days of temperatures of like 10 below zero. These things are good for the ecosystem. Why? Kills out a lot of the bugs that are a problem. Skeeters is one of them. So
yeah. But doesn't that depend where you're at?
Yeah, but not totally. You see, you have to take a look right now where the weather is going. It's going north. Why is it going north? Well, the weather machine screwed up the jet stream. The storm we got headed toward Florida is artificial. Now, a lot of people don't get that part, but I'm going to leave it at that. And the next part of the scenario is mitigating the results. Okay, the weather has to calm down, even out, straighten itself up before you can actually get to where you want to go with it. So figure that we're going to have normal, hello, quotation marks going like crazy, normal winter. In other words, if you are in Florida, you're not going to necessarily get deep freezed. Or Arizona or the Southwest. You never know what's going to really happen until it happens. Weathermen are like politicians. Take a guess. Let's see if I throw this rock, if I hit something, it breaks. You throw a rock at a house. Close your eyes and throw a rock at a house. All I did was ding the siding a little bit. You know, you have to understand that they don't know from 1 minute to the next. Now, they can give a probability. Oh, it's probably going to be like that. But did you notice the cone of uncertainty for the hurricane? It gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Now we got it all the way from the Keys into Georgia. I'm sorry, but the storm ain't that big. If we had a hurricane that was that big, it'd be a category 15 or some such. And we ain't going to have one of those in a foreseeable future. It'll be about 400 years before we have a storm of that nature. So, now, that don't mean you ain't be alive. You get your life restored. Your lifespan goes from 70 or 80 years. No. Try 1800. The original humans that were on this planet, 1800 years. This takes some adjustments. If the guy shows up and he's got these little funny things that go bzzz, bzzz, and he wants to stick them on you, and he's a good guy, he'll say, well, the medical team sent me down here to adjust you so that you are back to normal. Really? What are you going to do? Your genome is a little out of whack, and your chromosomes ain't the right color, and you're pretty much a mess. But if I zap you right here, and then I zap you right, let's see, here. Now, I got a couple other places, too. He hits you about 4 or 5 times, and all of a sudden, you got the energy you had when you were a teenager. Think about that very carefully. The capable physical durability that you had when you was a teenager. Get to be a teenager again. Only this time you have it. Now, you do have a choice. That 1800 years is not absolute. If you decide, your decision, if you decide not to live that long for whatever reason, you can turn it off. We haven't fun yet.
Okay, well, the next one is everybody a clone?
No, not everybody. Kent is wrong on that totally. Sorry, Kent.
Okay. Wow, was Harry shot to death in a bar? Some of this is verifying things that have been said. I know that.
I don't think I'm going to answer that last one. Try another one.
Okay. You probably might not know this one either. Has Mike Pence been removed from office of the vice president?
No.
Okay. When we go into the fourth dimension, will reincarnation still be going on?
It will after we get there. Reincarnation is simply a reinsertion. It's not difficult. It's not a difficult process as far as some people might think it. It's advanced. It's not something that happens all the time. But yes, when we go into the fifth dimension is when reincarnation starts subsiding.
Okay. Who is Jared Rand?
Who?
Jared Rand, R-A-N-D. Is he a white hat and can he be trusted?
That name is awful familiar. I would.
Weekly meditations on prepare for change to get us from 3D to 4D. and has millions of global followers. That's why they're asking that question.
You have to understand something here. What I've given in relation to what happens when the transition takes place, 3 to 4, okay, is general. I was asked not to get into specific detail. Others can do that. If Rand is doing that, I'd have to listen to see what he says or whatever. Then I could give you a better update as to what the band's about. Just because somebody has 1 million followers on whatever social network doesn't mean that that person's correct.
Exactly. Okay, I think I'm going to skip those questions because they're about RV confusion. Something about the RV taking place just before the reset.
Okay, RV and reset are the one and the same thing, all predicated on the basis of the global currency reset, where the basis of finance changes from just silver, gold, or some kind of an exchange rate into much more complex things. So you might end up with some country you never heard of in Africa being the richest country on the planet just about, simply because of what they have available to them. Okay?
Like Zimbabwe. Okay, it says Drake mentioned that the reset would take place first in the USA, then in other countries. What will happen to Canada?
Canada is like in the top 5. So it'll be fairly soon, fairly quickly, in conjunction with the states. As the states reset, the other states that are associated, though some more closely than others, will also benefit from a literal reset. Okay?
Basically, that's a number of questions that is being asked about Canada. Will it follow shortly different things like replicators and debt relief and so on? Will that follow? Once it happens in the U.S., it'll probably follow shortly thereafter in Canada, if I understand you correctly. Is that right?
Yeah. The other part of it is that a lot of these things will take place simultaneously, globally, worldwide. You find the person most in need, they get the goodies first, okay, wherever it may be, but they are seen to. Okay.
Okay, hang on one second. Hey, would you guys tend to the puppies? The puppies are crying their heads off out there, please.
That'll look, yeah. I can tell you a little secret. Don't mother the puppies.
Yeah.
And that will take care of 90% of that problem.
Do what?
Do not mother the puppies. They're crying and whatnot. Just, what's the matter with you? You look all right to me. And in terms of that, you might pet them. When they start licking your hand, everything, withdraw. You don't want them to look at you as a mother. You want them to look at you as a willing, a facilitating and willing master of sorts. You will, in other words, offer them teaching, training, so that they can be the best dog that they can be. That's what you want to get through to them. A psychic connection, if you're going to keep a pet, psychic connection is critical. So start figuring out how to communicate with your dog. My dogs could talk. My dogs would freak people out. They'd look at somebody and say, out? You need to go out. The cat would say, hungry? Ooh. You talk about freaking somebody out, then, haven't heard a cat say that?
Well, I have one puppy that's a bully, and it kind of beats up on the other ones. Because it's smaller. It's crying away. But anyway, let's go on. Why? Okay. Drake, you stated that the ETs weren't sure about how to deliver replicators because they might get shot. So this person says, why not have locations available for pickup where the humans and ETs are there to pass them out? In other words, you go to...
Well, see, that's part of the problem. This is going to happen. Figure half of the world population having at least one ET with one replicator showing up to deliver it. It's a care package kind of thing. Okay, and so what you have to have is make sure that the friggin' neighbors don't think shooting ET with a shotgun is a good idea. Ooh, would you shoot an angel?
Well, wouldn't it be helpful if there was some type of disclosure, but prior to this, that's going to happen?
Yes, there's going to be some disclosure, heavy and detailed and global. It'll help it, but it won't necessarily mitigate all of it.
Yeah, it's to everybody.
This is what I'm saying. The people that do believe it and understand it are the ones that need to talk to the people who don't.
Okay. All right. Let's see. What else do I got here? How much longer do we have to pay for gas, electricity, and water?
How much longer what?
Do we have to pay for gas, electricity, and water?
All of that's supposed to be seen to this year. Whether it will or not, I don't know. We'll see what happens. That's the only thing I can tell you on that. I'm not allowed to give out specifics on dates and times because I don't want the anti or bad guys to be able to defend being anti and bad guys. They want you to think that the world's coming to an end. They want you to be fearful so that they can maintain control. So,
yeah, when somebody's in fear, they're easy to control, and they know that. That's why so much fear is generated.
Yep. Well, one reason. The other reason is that fear, anxiety, and acting out in that manner creates an energy substance called loosh, and people eat that. Certain ETs love that stuff, and it is. Whew.
They're not the good ETs either, are they?
No, these are the guys that will eat you for lunch if they feel they need a snack. So you have to watch what you're dealing with. Well, what we need to do is circumvent that. That's in process. There's a lot of things that we can come up with in terms of ideas and this and that and the other thing. But the thing is, you have to understand that all of the things that are adverse to not being screwed over, or squeezed, okay, are being put into place in such a manner that the people that would do the adverse things no longer can profit from it, be that loose or whatever. And that's really taking a bite out of them.
Okay. This next question. Drake, do you ever wonder if all you are doing is just allowing the New World Order to take over while keeping the patriots at bay? And while the entire Restore the Republic movement is all about all this talk but no action?
Well, what kind of action you want to take? You going to pick up a gun and go after the United States Army? Good luck. I think you're going to do well. What you have to understand is we are not, no one is in a position to take over the United States government. Think about that very carefully. I'll say it again. Nobody is in a position to take over the United States government. It's way too big, first of all, way too complex. You have to have a combination of military, civilian, contractors on both sides, and the intermediary. Some nutcase that don't mind telling the truth like me. I knew I'd get you to smile if I picked on you.
World War II took only 6 years. Why is this taking so damn long? Where is the sense of urgency? Or is it that the trillionaires and billionaires that still own and run the world are not in any rush to get anything done anytime soon?
No, it's pretty simple. That's a logistics question. Logistics are implementation of everything. Now, how many people we got on this planet? That's one. Number two, how diverse are the people on this planet? And number three, do you know anybody that speaks all them languages? I mean, you're talking about a nightmare for somebody that's used to providing shipping and handling and whatnot. You're talking about driving somebody out of their friggin' mind with that kind of push. You know, why is it taking so long? Well, show me how to do it faster, and I'll tell the people that are principals, and we'll see whether or not we can get them off the pot. It's not difficult, but I want to hear that better idea. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, this is kind of along the same line. It says, Drake, I've been following you since 2006. How many more years of this are we going to have to continue to listen to about things that are supposed to happen but never do?
Well, that never do is not exactly correct any longer, and you need to check out following the news in such a manner that you can prove it to yourself by seeing people arrested before they commit a mass shooting. Oh, that's better than gun control or taking everybody's guns. Okay, let's do it this way. How about all of the politicians that are soon to get their comeuppance? And I mean nasty. It's a reckoning. A reckoning is factually based reconciling of accounts. That's what a reckoning is. I reckon. That means 1 + 1 = 2, not 3 or 4 or whatever the lawyer thinks he can get away with. The problem is this. We have allowed this to grow and fester. And I mean everybody and their mother-in-law, including myself, we didn't stop it before it got out of hand. Well, now that it's got way out of hand, we're
and we're waiting for somebody else to do it too.
Well, the other part of it is that you got this little ram. There's a song about that by old Blue Eyes about this ram butting the dam. Had high hopes. Kept butting that dam. Oops, there goes another kilowatt dam. If you had the patience of God, you wouldn't have a problem pissing a hole in a flat rock. It's just that simple. I've been wanting to say that one for years. It gets better. Just wait.
Which comes first, the ship's landing or popping into 4D?
We should have a combination of disclosure that includes landings before we pop into 4D. Simply because everybody needs a certain amount of training so that they don't screw things up when we go to 4D. Many of the 3D ideas are not applicable, and you have to know which ones. You have to know what the alternatives are, and you make your choice from there.
Okay, this one is, you're being challenged here, Greg. Some of these things. But it's okay.
Come on, bring it on.
Okay. You talk about the upcoming transition as being a magical second where everything goes to the fourth dimension, where aliens will be here to help us with healing and food replicators. Debts for us commoners will be forgiven and debit cards will be dispensed. Then on Cosmic Voice, you talk about needing guns, cash, food stock, and prepare to defend yourself. Which is it? An alien-assisted transition with healing, financial, and food assistance? Or is it going to be helter-skelter with the survival of the fittest?
Ooh, let the games begin, okay? Hey, I'm seriously hoping that these people that ask questions like that and the groups they are affiliated with have a shitload of extra popcorn because you're going to need it. Here's how it is. Just because you go from 3D to 4D doesn't mean that all the shit that's going on stops. All right? That rectification does not start to happen in earnest, in effect, until 5D. Ooh. Now, you have to understand two things. Number one, and this is critical to everybody's understanding, time is non-linear. It is a quanta. Anybody don't know what a quanta is, look it up, okay? Number two, clunk, the ideology of time in terms of even Einstein's relativity does not quite compute with the serious differential between what we understand as time and what time really is, and the difference between human time and ET time. Very few people understand the differential. It was stipulated in the Bible. Ooh, one of my days is of 1,000 of yours. One day is of 1,000. There's 365 days in a year, so that's 3 years worth in one day. Holy moly! Think about the differential. Yeah, and that is just a hint. That does not really cover it. My Q family deals with timelines and time, so that's how come I know a whole lot of things about it. And that's going to be part of the schooling in the upper levels of 4D that we're going into. Once we master a combination of that, higher technology, and the ability not to blow up the neighbor's cat, then we go to 5D. That's just that simple. It's not real complicated, okay? Well,
all right. How do portals and jump rooms work? That's a
portal. You jump into it. You've seen. I can't think of the name of that movie about the guys that walked into a portal. Yeah, that's it. Stargate. That's what a portal is. Jump room is neat. It's really freaky. There's no outside to it. You can't see it outside. You can see a door. Like you can see this doorway behind me back here, over my right shoulder. You can see a door. But what's really freaky, there's nothing outside of it. You won't see any of this. See the wall that's around it? You won't see that.
How do you know where you're going?
Huh?
How do you know where you're going? Or is that programmed in?
Well, now, hold on a minute. There are two basic types of jump rooms. One's the kind where you open the door, step through, and hope you don't hurt yourself when you land on the other side. Okay? Why did you step out the 5th story window? Don't you know that would hurt? Not difficult to understand. Okay, now that's one. That's the unassigned destination. Most are assigned. Now that can be just a doorway, just a door. That's all you see is a door. You open it up and there's a room inside. Close it back up and try to look around the other side of it and ain't nothing there. You can't even see the backside of the door. Ooh.
How do you get back? How do you get back?
Well, no, that's part of the deal. I'll explain a little bit, not very much. ET has requested that I don't explain it too much because some idiot will try it, okay? And they are required to go and rescue idiots that jump into portals and jump rooms. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going, but I sure went, Whoopee, you dingleberry. Anyway, you got two kinds of jump rooms. Like I said, the one where you step through the door, and why did you step out the 5th story window? Kind of a jump room. You don't know. Sometimes, this is a little bit rare, but not terribly, you step through the thing and you fall into a portal. God knows where it goes. You don't know which one it is. Zoom! You're 500,000 light years across the galaxy. Ooh. Can you breathe when you get there? I mean, there's a lot of little questions going into this. The second kind of jump room is the program jump room. It has a very definite and definitive destination. Okay, that destination operates like this. You go into the room, you close the door, you walk across the room to the next door, open it, and you are at the destination. Doesn't matter the distance or the time that it would be required to travel it. You just walk, 12 feet, bingo, you're there, no problem. Now, when you want to come back, that door, the one you just did, the big dark thing you see right here, that door is still there. The one that you went out of on the other side of the jump room is still there. It may be, this varies a little bit, that only you can see it. But that's okay, because when you want to go back home, after you see some kind of grinchy looking squiddy things running around all over the place, oh man, hey, look at this. And you decide that's not for you. You open the door, close it, walk across the room again, open the other door, close it, and you're back home. Right back in your office or the bed or wherever it was you started from. Real simple, not complicated.
Wow.
That's all the intel I'm going to give you on that, because I don't want some dink powering up a bedroom in a house and accidentally stepping out of the fifth-story window into a porthole. Oh, wow, man. I'm traveling at 2,000 times the speed of light. Woohoo!
Don't they have those doors labeled? This is a jump door.
Jump rooms are real difficult to get to first. Number two, the doors are usually locked. If you're not supposed to be there, you don't have the access. So they're not going to let you in.
Those are kind of classified things, aren't they?
No, it's not a question of classification, because the United States military, all of the great scientists and humongous, brilliant minds on the planet cannot figure out how to unlock that door. I just love it. ET's got some kind of a door lock that makes our doorbell systems look funny.
Okay. Well, along that same line, this is okay. Does your body get copied and transported as a data stream of light to the new destination, or does the portal fold space and time like a small wormhole?
It's a combination, but you are intrinsically protected as the entity you are. In other words, you're not going to be disassembled into a stream of photons and bounced around the galaxy, as Dr. McCoy would say. You're not going to find that there is a programming involved that you can understand. Yeah, this is you get the beginnings of that when you get to 4D and you've completed the astrophysics class. I said astral physics class. Okay. And it will only give you the basis. 5D, as soon as we get there, we go to a whole bunch of another set of classes. Now, these classes might seem to be extreme. They might seem to be extraordinarily long. However, with time compression, and this is part of what you learn, with time compression, you can squeeze in a whole lifetime in a matter of a few minutes. One of my days is as of 1,000 of your years. Ooh, that's a funky monkey. One day equal to 1,000 of our years. That means we don't. Sorry, bud, I don't recognize you. Oh, that was 3 generations ago. Sorry, man. Oh, okay. 4 generations, however many.
Okay. And then along that line, does your soul stay tethered to your body in any location in the universe because of the principles of quantum mechanics?
Quantum mechanics don't have that much to do with it. You have a soul pattern, set of soul energies, and your spirit. Those are the things that are non-physical primarily. Now, soul is soul life. So that's how it is easily attached to your soul pattern. Each individual has an individual pattern. That pattern is non-replicable. Bear that in mind. So as far as zapping yourself around the universe, I would suggest that you stay in your galaxy first, so that you learn not to bump into planets. I heard that hurts. Think about it very carefully. Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, well, think about Star Trek. Now, seriously, they go blasting off at multiples of the speed of light. Okay, that's all well and good. There's just one little problem. Just how in the hell does the guidance computer avoid all the trash that's in the way? How do they miss the stuff that we shot up, let alone, other planets that are light similar to us? Heavenly bodies, like, a planet's like a fist. It's got, you go here and run into that at the speed of light. I have no idea what kind of explosion you get. I pretty much guarantee it's going to be better than any fireworks you've ever seen. But, I want to know how the computer can see into the future. Ooh, now we're getting into full-dimensional quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics, on its basis, only deals with the harmonic on a trying to think of the word, on a plane level. You've heard of plane geometry? Okay, plane geometry. When you can only see a line and the parameters 2, 4, whatever it may be that's in it. Okay, then you're only on 2D. Take that sucker and blow it up. Take it out of the 2 little lines and make it into 4. Oh my God. What happens then? Well, then you are in a processing capability of interactive spherical dynamics. That's where you take a field and you interact it with something else. Vesica Pisces shows this. You do it on a spherical basis between bodies that are on 2 different existential planes of existence, like 4 and 5D, and you mix them together so that they kind of overlap. See how they kind of overlap?
Yeah.
Anyway, does that mean that the people on one side or the other can walk from one to the other? It does. They had a TV show about that. Ooh. So the one show that they were told not to complete was a show that I thought was rather nice. It was accurate. It was called The Event. And they turned that off officially.
Wow.
Because it was accurate. And they did not want to see stage 3. Okay. Stage 3 would have given them 3 dimensions. Oh my goodness. What's 3 dimensions good for? Height, width, length. Ooh, my goodness. Then you add the 4th dimension. We call it time. Actually, it's not time at all. It's duration. And it can be a condition or it can be something else. But this gets Lord, complicated. I'm supposed to be an instructor in some of this. That's how come I know enough. Okay.
Yeah, it sounds like that's a little complicated.
Well, when you understand that quantum mechanics deals with harmonics, then you understand a shitload about a combination of things that we've had around forever. There's a group of indigenous people who get a big circle around a big stone and they play notes, certain notes that they know to play. And each individual has their own set of notes. And they get louder and louder and louder, and boom! This big friggin' rock that weighs several tons jumps from ground level up on top of a cliff. That's just one example. The Library of Alexandria was not heretical, irrespective as to what the church thought. Oh, and guess what? We got copies of everything that was in the friggin' library, so you guys might as well not have burned it down. Oh, poor little Wumpsie. I hope you enjoy when the technology comes out in plain English that everybody can use, and you end up the butt of the joke. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
Okay, here's another question. Do the human civilizations on Mars, Ceres, and other planets have their own version of the plan, and even their own leaders like Donald Trump, who are helping prepare the population and the governing systems for more freedom as we approach the big transition?
To an extent, yes. To a lesser extent, it varies. there was only a small number of people that came from the Sirius system to Mars. They were mixed with a group of, let's say, dissidents that were being chased. Okay.
Oh, wow.
They were managed to make a good landing on Mars. They didn't have a problem with that too much at all. They intermingled. Now you're talking thousands of years, but you got to remember our solar system is 864 billion, with a B, capital B, years old. 864 billion years old. Okay. What's neat about it is you can spend, 100 million years on Mars, whatever. They had a growing population. The problem was that Mars used to be closer to the sun, and its orbit got slipped. It got colder, and it couldn't support the life, the amount of life that it had on it. That's one. Second part is very similar to Mission to Mars, the movie. A huge asteroid slammed into it and pretty much basically created nuclear winter on a global scale. That was the basic end of Mars. The people there were very advanced, and if you watch the movie Mission to Mars, you understand some things that, let's say, Intel officials don't want you to know. What's neat is that they all left. Okay, they showed the seeding of the planet Earth with all of the capable life forms. Now, what's interesting is a capable life form is something that can multiply without adverse effect. That's a capable life form. It's capable of adjusting itself to its conditions, to the conditions it finds itself in, and at the same time, not over prolificate. What you ended up with was what you see presently. Now, the problem we've got is that man, in all his stupidity, is killing most of the planet and don't even realize it. He's been told, but he's too stupid to understand what the differential is. And we're going to have to raise ourselves up to a point where we understand what's going on, and we're going to thin the population. And not by an Agenda 21 defecation on a whole bunch of lives, but by propagating those lives into areas that have not been infested, let's say, with man. The interesting part about these things is that there will be certain limitations. Remember, China said one kid. Think about that partially. Okay, that's sort of a limitation, and it has to be a willful societal agreement among everybody in order for it to work.
They created a problem for themselves, though, didn't they? Because they were killing girl babies and just only having.
Well, what's happened is that our lack of rate of growth in terms of numbers in the population is now beginning to be the case in China. So they got rid of the one child rule. They got rid of it. It's now 2 to 4, depending on what the situation is. Everybody should have the educational system that China does. China educates everybody, no matter what your social status, money, okay, educates everybody to a certain level.
I didn't know that. That's good.
And and then here's the other part. If you go out and make enough money with the knowledge you're given, you can then access the rest of the education. They will give you time off from your job or whatever it takes in terms of making sure that you are able to be a successful, coherent, proactive human being.
Wow, that's impressive. I'm impressed.
I was too.
Okay.
Okay. My goodness.
How long have we been here?
2 hours.
Pardon? 2?
2 hours. We started about 7 and it's a little after 9.
Okay, maybe we better bring this home. Let me ask you one more question.
Okay.
Are there going to be any changes to the passport when we go to the Republic? And are we truly going to the Republic?
No, a lot of the official documentation remains in place for the simple fact that everybody's got it. It's reasonably accurate and it's convenient. Okay, convenient. Remember, we're a convenience. We became a convenience society back in the 50s. The convenience of having a stove, a refrigerator, etc. Okay, then after that, in about the late 60s, early 70s, we became the throwaway generation. If it's broke, toss it and get another one. Now we're reverting back to causation. That makes all the difference. Does that make sense or not?
Yeah.
Okay.
It seems like they some certain things that are built to only last so long. I don't know.
That's exactly correct. And the thing about that is that the advanced technologies that ET has can be used in such a manner that we can now take that thing and produce one that is equal to a brand new one from one that was broken. So that what that means is that and if it needs improvements, that also happens. In other words, you get a HD type TV. Well, the picture looks blurry. Oh, we can fix that. They go in there, plug in. Oh, there it is. Click, 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 click. Okay, try it now. Turn it back on. Bingo. Perfectly clear picture.
Does away with a lot of waste.
Yeah. The second thing is that there will be very little waste for the simple fact that replicators, if you take a TV or whatever, and you got something that won't fit in the replicator that you've got, you can cut up little pieces of it and put it in there. And it can store that. Now, what exactly you're going to get out of it, I'm not sure. You might get, I don't know, baby toasters that hop around. You know, if anybody wants to see a great ET movie, look at the one called Batteries Not Included. It is awesome and it's rather accurate. That's the other part. It is based, and this is going to screw with people badly, based on a true story. And there is empirical evidence, absolute evidence. Oh, we got pictures, we got videos. We don't understand how the hell it's possible. Person with a motel, restaurant, whole thing's destroyed overnight. These little ETs show up and put it all back together, just like it was brand new. And that happened. You try to ask about it. Oh, you talk about a brick wall. Classified. It's funny.
I'm hoping that kind of the brick wall or the lack of information that we want to know that is classified, that's all going to change. And
it is. It has to. You cannot have secrecy and openness. It doesn't work together. So what's going to happen is that they will find that they no longer need to be secret. If somebody can read everybody's mind, if everybody can read everybody's mind, how are you going to have a secret? See, it just don't work. It's pretty. I'm looking forward to this. I'm so excited I can't understand myself. I'd like to jump on a rocket and take a ride. That's how I feel excited.
I'm excited about it too. I just, it can't happen fast enough.
I keep telling them to hurry up, and they keep giggling at me. So
I keep asking them to step it up too. Anyway, I guess we should call it a show because we're getting kind of long here.
Okay.
And I still have questions left, but I'll save them for next week.
Sounds good to me.
So thank you for your time and thank you for your wonderful answers. And we'll see you next week.
All right.
Goodbye, audience. Thank you, everyone. Free Range is signing off.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, everybody.
Gail of Gaia and Free Range need your support. The foundation of any channel engaged in disclosure is the support of the listening audience and the intel it receives. You will not find this kind of information on the lamestream media. We abhor censorship, and sponsors always have an agenda. Your donations, no matter how small, are especially needed and appreciated to keep this going.